All right, well, we'll make a start then. We'll get going. Drew, are you happy for me just to share my screen the whole time and I'll change the slides for when it's your turn? Yeah, that's easy to do. Cool. All right, so I'll share my screen and we'll make a start, guys. All right, perfect. Hope you can all see what I've got there. All right, so tonight what we thought we'd go through and do is, we've spoken a lot lately and in the past about training and what to do and things you can add in. So we thought it might be a good opportunity to go through now and show you what one of our sessions would look like from start to finish as best we can without having visual demonstrations, which would be best. So here is a bit of a presentation on, I'll doing one as well, and Drew will do one at the back half of the session as well, of just what the sort of things we will do and how we structure our session. So personally, what I always like to try to cover, and this is like we're making curriculum and everything at the moment through the basketball club, but everything we've spoken about previously in these sessions is pretty much based off a lot of what Drew and I do, and we've got similar thoughts about what needs to happen as well. So when whether I'm coaching my under-10s team or my youth league team, each session will have a similar structure, but obviously the drills will vary in how complex they are. But in all my sessions, I try and cover these 5 things, the Fab 5 as they call it. So we'll try and do a bit of defending, we'll make sure we do some dribbling, something to do with some footwork, passing and shooting. So the whole session will cover those 5 areas. With sort of, it's a bit easier with my youth session because we have a 2-hour training block, but it becomes a little bit more challenging with the under 10s because it is a smaller time slot, so 1 hour. So trying to cram it all into 1 hour comes challenging, but it's not impossible. So you have to be smart about how you do it. So how do I fit all this into a 60-minute session? And as I said before, if you do, a passing drill, a dribbling drill, a shooting drill, if you split them up like that, yeah, it will be pretty hard to get it all done. So I try and chunk a fair bit of things together as well, and just add a bit of dribbling with shooting, so we're hitting 2 things at once. I try and do each drill for about 8 to 10 minutes. We're trying to go over that period of time. That ensures we get through everything and kids don't get bored with it as well. So what I always try and do is a warm-up. Now with my rep side of things, when we do that and we have like an hour and a half session, we'll have a bit of a dynamic warm-up that we do. But we usually we'll complete that before our session starts. So if we had a 5 o'clock session, we'll be asking everyone to get there about 10 to 5 and do that dynamic warm-up off the court. So then at 5 o'clock when our time starts, we're not wasting our time. So that's things like, stretches, high knees things. If your kids have ever done one of our online sessions, it's that same sort of warm-up we do there with, some skipping, some things with our leg swings, things like that to get our body ready for basketball. We'll do that before our session. So for a warm-up, I'd always try and get the ball in the hand as soon as we can. So a popular thing I always did was I did some sort of dribble circuit and getting the players to practice, the different things of changing the direction, changing the pace, retreating, dribbling backwards and crossing over and doing those little things. And then at the end of that sort of circuit, usually I might have a half court. I might do a circuit around the half court and they come in and they might finish with a layup or they might finish with a shot, something like that. And that's about 8 to 10 minutes of doing that. Everyone gets through a few times. We go on our right hand and our left hand. And with that one as well, for the dribble course, you can have multiple people going at the one time. So if you set some cones up or some markers up for people to go, it allows more people to come through. So there's not too much of a line happening, which isn't too good. And on the side over here, all these drills. These are drills I use and have used, and they're all in the Craigieman Eagles drills PDF that I've sent you previously. On the next slide, I've got examples of how it looks, but I'll go through this slide first, and then I'll go through and show you with the pictures. And even another thing I always like to do as well is playing, fun games like dribble knockaway. That's something I play a lot of with, everyone has a basketball in their hand, and you got to dribble it and you got to try and knock other people's basketball away. Doing things like that for kids of all ages. And a funny thing about that is you might think, oh, it's a bit silly to do that with the older ones, but they actually love it. And perfect example is, I don't know if he's on. Is Benny on? No, Ben's not on. But I was talking to Benny Carroll, and he said that we went to a Basketball Victoria coaching course, but just before all lockdown happened. And one of the facilitators took us through a little game you can do, and it's really simple. It's you have some cones upside down, you put some tennis balls in them, and it's like if you ever played the game of Rob the Nest. So you have two teams, and you go dribble up, steal the tennis ball, and go put it into your cone or your hoop down your side. And we sit it on either side of the foul line of the key, so it's not too far to go. And while you're doing that, you got to dribble a basketball and go get it. And then Ben, started playing that game with his Division 1 women. So his women were playing that game on a Tuesday night, and he could see that they'll come in, they'll be a bit flat, they'll be like, oh, whatever, after a hard day of work. But since playing those sort of games, it sort of just sparked him. It was a bit of fun, a bit of energy, a few laughs. He said certain people took it very serious, and allegations of cheating. Some people got a bit physical and pushing and shoving. But all in good fun. So little games like that are always something to hold on to and just still do regardless of the team you coach. And that goes back to Tom was saying last week, how during halfway through the season with our youth boys would come in and we'll do like our game session, and when I'll just take like a PE, like a grade 3-4 PE class, and then we'll play all mini games like that. Things like that are really good circuit breakers, and they keep people enjoying the sessions we're doing. So after we warm up with that sort of dribbling circuit, we'll look to do something with shooting, so get some shots up, because kids always want to shoot the ball. So we just practice. We talk about just having good form of how you should hold the ball, and then we practice getting shots up. And then we can just beat it from the one spot, or we can look to sort of progress it and turn it into like something where you're working on some pivots, or you're looking to make a pass, catch the ball, face the ring, and then shoot it. Little things like that. And a really good one there I've written down is like a game of knockout. Kids play that one at school all the time. They would love it. I do that all the time with my under 10s. Sometimes if I'm late to training, because we had a 4:30 slot, if I'm 5 minutes late, usually they're starting to play that themselves. They love it. So even if you have little games like that, if you ever are running 5 minutes late for training, you could just, message one of the parents, say, oh, I'm running 5 minutes late. They love playing knockout. Just get them to play some knockout or dribble knockaway to start off, and then when I come in, I can start the session. So little things like that up your sleeve is always handy to have. Next, we always try and do some passing, practicing good form on our passes. And it could be, sometimes I've done this off an extension of a dribble circuit. So you might have, dribble from point to point, and then you've got to pass the coach, and I'll pass it straight back. So they're practicing that pass on the move, they get it back, they go take their shot, next person comes through. So there's little things you can work in like that. And there's also, once again, any one of those drills that we have on that PDF is really good as well. And the next two is offense and defensive practice. They sort of go hand in hand. So you can see the drills are pretty similar. You can sort of do them together. You might do two different drills one where you're practicing both things, but you might just focus on the teaching of one thing, and the next drill you focus on the teaching of the defense, and the first one's the offense. So for offense, you practice facing the ring and trying to score off the dribble. And a simple one is, playing one-on-one. you know, just picking a spot, someone dribbles out, hands on the basketball, you got to go 1-on-1 to the ring, and you'd be surprised if you did that, how many times kids won't go to the ring. They'll go around the outside of the 3-point line. They'll take, you know, 23 dribbles. And then, you know, if you talk to them and say, well, is that realistic? Can you do that in a game? No. So you got to try, you know, use your dribbles wisely and get to the ring as quick as you can. Because once you start dribbling, if you get towards the ring and you're taking 10 dribbles, someone else is going to come get you and get the ball off you. So trying to be effective off that. And the flip side of your defense, you're talking about how to block that person the ball, how to block their basket side, not fouling them, and you want them to dribble the ball as much as possible and not get to the ring. And then we always finish with some sort of small-sided game. So it could be like a 3-on-3 game or 4-on-4. It could be some sort of advantage game where you got 2-on-1 or something fun like that, where a bit of decision making, a bit of real life basketball comes in. So that's the written way. What's happened here? There we are. So they're the drills and how it looks. So if this is my session I was running, say tonight, if I had it, I'd say, well, the first drill we're doing is we're going to do triangle attack in the basket. So we have everyone up around the half court with their basketballs. They dribble into that first cone, they cross over, go to the next one, and they go to their layup, go around, join the line again. That would be our first drill, and that would be our 8 minutes. So this is I love this drill. It's not my drill. I didn't come up with it. I found it on YouTube one day. Some guy coaching Division 2 college did it. They weren't doing laps. They were doing dunks. But I thought that's a really good drill. I've used it for my 10 girls. I've used it for my youth boys. I've used it for 16 boys, 18 boys. That's a really good one to do. Then after we do that drill for our 8 to 10 minutes, we go, all right, we go into our shooting, you know, and then, you know, in this drill here, you know, you got person leading out, catching the ball from someone else from the baseline here. They're going to catch it, they're going to turn, and they're going to have their nice shot at the ring. And they go out into that same side. So this one, we've got a bit of passing, we've got a bit of moving, we've got some footwork. So we're ticking off 3 boxes there of things we want to do. So we want to get shots up. You know, and if this drill will get lots of shots up, you know, we're practicing how to pivot, we're practicing how to pass to someone. That's a really good one as well. So that's another 8 to 10 minutes. Then we might go into something more specific passing. This is just another one we pulled out there, a ball in the ring. So, you know, a circle around one person, and there's 2 basketballs, one on the inside and one on the outside of the circle. And just passing around in the circle. So, you know, 1 passes to 3, 2 passes to 1, then 1 passes to 4, 3 passes to 1, and he's passing that ball around the circle. You know, so once again, this one you're practicing your passing. You've got to sort of pivot and move around the circle. So you've got a bit of footwork in there, which is really good. And you can practice a variety of different passes. You could say, all right, it's got to be a bounce pass. One thing I've always done is have 2 different coloured balls. Like a lot of kids will have the kids, if they bring a ball to training, they're going to have 2 completely different colours. So you might have a yellow one and a red one. I know I always have a brown leather one and a blue leather one, and I always have those 2. And I'm saying, okay, you know, brown is bounce pass. The brown one is a bounce pass. The blue one's a chest pass. And so they're going to be thinking as they get, oh, which one am I doing? And then so make them think as well while they're doing a drill like that. Then we go into some offensive work here. So we might go, okay, we want to work on our offensive things, get to the basket. So we might go around the cone 1-on-1. So simple there, 2 lines, there's 2 cones out there. They got to dribble out around that cone, get to the ring. Player 2 is got to get around and try and stop them. So we're working on, you know, we're doing a bit of everything in this one. So there's some footwork, there's some defense, there's some dribbling, no passing. But there's, you know, some shooting, but we'll primarily focus on our offense. So everything I'll be teaching, I'll be saying, all right, make sure we get to the ring, do this. We want to make sure we attack, strong layups, you know, good form in our shots. I won't talk too much about the defense. I won't try and overload them or and even as a coach, it's really hard to sit there and watch a drill and then critique the offense and the defense. You know, you're spreading yourself pretty thin. So pick one thing and focus on and say, okay, we're just going to work on, we're going to, you know, this drill has a lot of offense and defense, but we're just going to work on our offense. And next one, like, okay, we're going to go with a bit of Pete's one-on-one, a bit of one-on-one drill, but this time we're going to work on defense. So we'll talk about blocking our pass, not fouling. So once again, there's still offensive skills in it, but as a coach, I'm going to be focusing on the defense and watching the defense, what they're going to do. All right, this is just simple, hand on the ball, and then go one-on-one. You know, there's so many different ways. This one is they're both facing towards where the mouth is. We play along with the ball, and they pass the ball around one side or the other, and whatever side they pass it around, they're going to turn and face that way. So as you can see me here, if I'm sort of here, if the ball comes from that way, I've got to turn that way. Whereas if it comes that way, I've got to turn that way. And then I'll go one-on-one to the ring. And then once again, our 8 to 10 minutes, we'll do that on both sides. You could have two lines going at the same time. I've definitely done that. Sometimes what I've done is I've had some cones out and I put some cones just in the middle of the floor down here. There's like a bit of a barrier. And I'll have two groups going at the one time. And I'll say, okay, you guys can't go past this line. You guys can't go past this line. And so you can get more reps going. With the older ones, I've done this as well. Whereas it's just wait till the area is clear. So we'll have the two sides going. This side will go first. Once it's clear, next side goes, and that's alternate. That's when you can do a bit older. You can trust them a little bit more. And then to finish the game, we'll go with a bit of a small-sided game. And for this session, I would have picked a 3-on-3 across the baseline. 3-on-3 is always pretty safe because, and then he picks players there. And the kids will go ahead and do this. And another way I've done this one as well is sometimes I just play a game of 3-on-3, but I include myself as the fourth, and I'm on both teams. And so what I say is, if you're on defense, if you get the rebound, you've got to pass the ball to me, and then you've got to get it back off me to go ahead and score. So I'm like the fourth. So that's another way to do it. And then for another 10 minutes there, and then your session is pretty much done. So that's what I'll do for a younger team. And if you just go back and you look at sort of the stuff I've done, so like, you know, we warmed up, we had some shooting, some passing, some offensive work, some defensive work, and then some small-sided games. You know, and that's what I do for, you know, the younger age groups. And then on here, I've put down like a sample youth league session. So our youth league sessions are very, very similar. So we'll start with and the difference is we go for a 2-hour slot, as you can see. We just go for a bit longer. So we'll do our dynamic warm-up, and then after that, we do something called a Tennessee drill, which is I've got it here. Oh, where was it? There. Which I'll send you this one as well. So for this one, it's a full court drill. So you can see 1, 2, and 3. So 1 passes to 2 and 2 passes to 3 who does a layup. And after that, 1 and 2 trail down and they get some shots from the foul line. And then player 3 gets the rebound. It's their own rebound, and they're passing it out to the side, and they come back the other way doing the same thing. This is a really good one. I did this one as a kid. I've done this one for a lot of my teams that I coach, and our youth boys do it all the time. We usually have a time limit on this one. So we usually go for, I think it's like 6 minutes we put up on the clock, and we say, all right, the first 2 minutes we're taking shots from the foul line. Then the next 2 minutes we're taking shots from out to the 3-point line here, and in our last 2 minutes we're shooting from the corners. You know, and we count 1 point for every make we get, and we say if you make all 3 shots, we give you a bonus point as well. And then we set a target, and our youth boys, our target was about 120. We wanted to be at 120 in that 6 minutes. And we do that once, maybe twice, depending how we're going with the drill on that one. And then after that one, we do what's called read and react shooting, which is, do I still have it up? No, I'll show you quickly. This one. So this is the drill. This document I've sent everyone before, but I'll send it again tomorrow as well. Or did I put it under shooting? Yeah, I did. So here it is here. Read and react shooting. Player at the top, player at the side over here, and this player dribbles in, then makes a pass down to that person who cuts down there. And there's all various different shots that we do off this. So this one is dribbling, shooting, but the main thing we focus on as the youth guys is passing. So we try and say that all our passes are off the one hand, and that we make it like a perfect pass. So the shooter gets down there with their hands like that, and you're gonna hit the ball straight into those hands. That's how we focus on it. And then from there, we do the same thing where we dribble the other way. And for this one, you get like a bit of a hook pass back to someone coming the other way. So there's all different variants on that. So this is like our passing component to our session that we do. Then after that, we have our shell drill, which is just like our 4-on-4, which is our offensive focus part. So we would look at something that we need to work on, or if we've got a team we're coming up against, we need to work on a certain defense. That's what we'll put time into our defensive preparation. And shell drill, it's 4-on-4, so they're still practicing all their offensive skills, but like I said before, our pure focus would be on our defense and what we're doing there. Then after that, we'll do an offensive focus drill. Usually it's some sort of full court advantage drill, like a 4-on-3, where we're focusing on something to do with offense. And once again, that's got defense in it, but we mainly look at it as an offensive thing. And at the very end, we look to do our scrimmage, our fun thing that we do. So it's just we go out and play. And usually that's when I let some of my assistants, I make them take a team each, and then I can sit back and watch, and they get to have input on it as well. And then we finish the session there. That's everything. That's my examples of how I run my session. Is there any questions or anything that anyone has or comments they want to make? Happy to hear anything. Nothing? All good. All good. So that's my side done, and now I'll pass over to Drew, and Drew will talk about his side of what he does.
Yeah, cool. So just repeating what Lachlan said earlier, that we are just trying to give an example of what we do. Does it make it right? No. Is it perfect? Maybe, maybe not. But it's an example of what fits. And I think the hardest thing for new coaches, or for coaches that have decided to come on board and coach a team, even though you know basketball, it's still very hard to put together a training session and know what to teach, when to teach, how much time to spend on certain things. And so hopefully that by giving you a couple of examples with Lachy in mind, that can make it a little bit easier for some of the coaches out there. Lachy said it earlier, my beliefs and how I structure my training session is very similar. So and you don't need to go back, but if we went right back to that first slide, I try and cover all the same things in all my sessions. I've structured this session around coaching under 8s, 10s or 12s in a domestic setting. The difference in a half court for about an hour. So what can you do in a half court for about an hour? I actually only get 45 minutes for my domestic training. So to try and cram I think I get about 4 drills in about 45 minutes. I normally let drills go for about 10 minutes. It allows for the kids to be a little bit slow to get to spots and that sort of stuff. They're not as diligent as getting to the next drill as what the older ones are. They can dawdle and can chat and can take their time, as we all know. So I'll get into it. But like Lachy, I like to get my stretching done and a little bit of a warm-up done on the side of the court. Saves time. And one of my pet peeves is I can't stand waiting for someone to finish and my kids are running around, going crazy, waiting for training to start. So if you can get there 10, 15 minutes early and get the kids together and start them stretching, it takes that away. It lets the other team that's training before you train and finish their training session off without kids running around or bouncing balls or going crazy while you're trying to finish off a session. And it means that you can be ready to go in and do some purposeful drills straight off the bat instead of wasting your allotted time on some stretching. So stretching to be done before training. Some things that I just like to stretch, your hamstrings, your hip flexor. I think for boys, that's really important. It's also important for girls, but I think for boys especially, we can get very stiff in our midsection, hip flexors and our quads. I find important for flexibility. And then, of course, your calves so that you're ready to go. So numbers of different stretches that you can find that'll suit those needs. I'm massive at the moment on skipping. And so I went and bought a whole heap of skipping ropes, just those cheap white ones that everyone remembers from primary school. And I said, right, here you go, boys. Here's some skipping ropes. We're going to do some skipping. Well, I lasted about 3 weeks. And after 3 weeks, I said, right, give me the ropes. We're not using the ropes anymore. We're going to pretend that we're using the ropes because it took so long to learn how to use the rope and jump up and down. So I now do a skipping routine without the ropes where we just jump up and down, over and back a line. And I go through those exercises there. We start on the spot. We go forward and back. We go side to side. We do our scissors. And then the last one, I introduce a ball so you can pick up your ball and we do rhythm jumps. So we go together and then out diagonal, together, out diagonal, and we start bouncing the ball as we're jumping and moving our feet in and out. I found, well, Angus especially, my son, my eldest son, he's lacks a little bit in the rhythm and dancing aspect. So I find this rhythm jumping actually can start helping with getting them into a little bit of rhythm and brings in the coordination a little bit more with the ball and with the feet. And then when you start trying to teach layups, you sort of the rhythm's there and you can sort of go 1, 2, and they understand what you're talking about and those sorts of things. So I like to get those two done, the stretching and the skipping exercises before training starts so that when we get out, we can get straight into it. A drill I've always done with my 8s, 10s, 12s, anyone that I've coached is a full court jump stop pivoting. So you can do this full court, you can do it half court. You can have 2 lines. When I do it in the half court, you go out to the foul line and then you do it at the half court line. When you do it at full court, I go foul line, halfway, foul line, and then at the end. And basically the first one through is we're just doing jump stops and then into a shot fake. So what I mean by that is the old triple threat position meant that you put the ball on the hoop. What I like to see the kids do now is when they jump stop, I want to see them bring the ball up as if they're going to fake. I want to bring it in front and then down. So I want to get that shot fake first, get the defense to react, and then make them move. So that's what I'm teaching my kids is to jump stop and shot fake. Next, we go right through all the 4 types of pivots that you can use. So we go left foot, front pivot, right foot, front pivot. And basically they just dribble up the court, jump stop, pivot, come back, go again. Jump stop, pivot, go back, come again. We do that. And then the last one there, I add in some retreat dribbles. So very important skill for kids to be able to get themselves out of trouble. At a younger age, kids have the tendency to dribble into trouble, which is fine. We want them to attack. We want them to try and be aggressive with the ball and take the game on. But what happens is as soon as they get into any sort of trouble, they stop and they grab the ball and now they're in trouble because now they've got to get around 2 people and try and pass. And we know what that looks like from an under 8s and under 10s perspective. Teaching retreat dribbles gives them the ability to be able to back out of any trouble, which is a real important skill. So that normally takes about 5 minutes. 6 laps, up and back, half court, about 5 minutes. On to the next one, mate. Then I'll go into some stationary dribbling drills, and there's millions of them. There's literally millions and millions and millions and millions of them. You get onto YouTube or any of the old Google machine and Google stationary dribbling drills, and there's heaps, from body wraps, pound dribbles, crossovers, front to backs, whatever. I change it up. I do something different each week. And normally what I do with the kids with this one, with the stationary dribbling drills, is whatever I do that week, it's their homework. So I tell the kids to go away and work on those drills at home. So whatever we do, I get them to practice it so that we're not only just doing it as a once-off at training, we're also doing it continually. So I normally do that for about 5-10 minutes, changing it up, different exercises so the kids aren't getting bored. And then like Lachy, I'll go into a full court or half court dribbling course. So different dribbling skills, we want them changing directions, we want them using different moves, we want them going forwards and backwards, put in some passing if you've got parent helpers. A lot of parents that come to training are just sitting there itching and itching and itching. Hey, can you come give me a hand? Come up and help me out, and just stand here and pass the ball back and forth to the kids. They love it. And then always finish that dribbling course with a layup. Finish off all your hard work with a score. I put a pretty high premium on that and run it for 10 minutes. I think with the younger kids, there's not so much of an issue with them getting bored. There's probably more of an issue with them getting tired. So we try and stretch them out a little bit with that exercise. But I think it's really important for skill development, those sorts of things. So I put a high priority on skill development at the younger age, rather than trying to rush through skills to get to the end and play and to shoot and to do those sorts of things. I really want to develop their skills. So I probably put a little bit of extra time into these sorts of things. On to the next one, mate. I've done this presuming that all the kids I'm coaching at the moment can do layups. So if you're doing under 8s, if you're doing under 10s, this next section where I would spend 20 minutes, 10 minutes on a layup drill or 10 minutes on one-on-one, if I've got kids in my team that can't do layups, I would spend this whole 20 minutes working on doing layups. So that would be different drills. That's probably, Lachy, another whole session on how I would teach layups. I think I've covered off a little bit of it with some videos in previous sessions on how I would teach the layup. But if I've got kids that can't, then I'd spend this time, this 20 minutes, this middle section of training, just doing layups. And layups off dribbling, layups off passing, layups off no passing. So we change it up, we do it all differently. And I think one way to keep it competitive and active for the kids is exactly what Lachy mentioned earlier. You know, give a time limit. Say we're going to go for 2 minutes. Let's see how many we can get in 2 minutes. The kids absolutely love that sort of stuff, especially when you then say, right, now we're going to do it again. Now see if you can beat it. Now let's get a better score than we got last time. And they straight back into their lines and they're ready to go, trying to do their best. But for me, I'm placing a high emphasis. My style of half-court offense is around pass and cut. So that's my high priority at the moment. So this pass and cut layup is exactly that. So getting used to X1, passing it off to 1, making a cut to the basket, getting the ball back and finishing. So basically that's what we're working on. We'll do that as a layup drill. With this drill down here, I put a coach on the baseline as well so that everybody gets the chance to do a layup. So if I just go through it quickly, X1 starts at the top of the key with a ball. He passes it off to 1, who's done a V cut to get open. We don't want him standing still. 1 catches the ball, X1 cuts, 1 passes the ball to X1. X1 will shoot his layup and then clear out and go and switch lanes. After the pass, again, so we want to promote pass and cut. So after 1 passes the ball to X1 for his layup, he will cut around the other side of the hoop, get a pass from the coach there, and then do a left-hand layup, and then switch lanes. So both players get the pass, cut, and lay it up in the one drill. And we try and get, you know, depending on the level of your kids here and how many layups you can make, you can get anywhere between 20 or 30, 40 in the 2 minutes, seeing how you're going. I then like to, from there, move on to one-on-one drills. So, again, my half-court offense theories are all about pass and cut. And if you can't pass and cut, then you need to be able to beat your man one-on-one and create an advantage that way. So I want to work on one-on-one skills and working on closeouts from a defensive perspective. And so basically, I would normally start with the younger kids with that exact drill that Lachy did before, which was Pete's one-on-one. I knew you were going to put that one in there, mate, so I went for something different. I would definitely start with the one where you reach it, pass the ball around and go. There's another one where you can start with the ball on the back and rip and go one-on-one, those sorts of things. But then the next progression for me, the next level up for that is this one here, is where X1, the defender starts with the ball underneath the hoop, pass it out to the one. So now we're teaching closeouts on defense. So we're teaching the defense to go out and close out on a shot. And then we're teaching the guy with the ball, one, to be able to read what's coming at him. So is this guy going to stop me from shooting? Can I fake? Can I go around to my right? Can I go around to my left? What's the best option? We're now playing read and react basketball. So in this one-on-one drill, you can shoot, you can drive, you can do whatever you want based on what the defense is giving you. We say to the defense to get one arm's distance away and get out and stop the shot. That's what we want them to do, get out and stop the shot and then be able to move their feet. So I like this drill because it does give you the ability to be able to coach both ways. I think that's important. So when we're in games, we've got to be able to coach offense and defense. So this drill gives you practice of coaching offense and defense at the same time with your players. That's just another reason why I like it. But I do both those for about 10 minutes each. And then I think I've got about 15 minutes left. So onto the other side, we do some small-sided games in our hour. So this is just a basic 3-on-2, a 3-on-2 drill. If I found that the kids were getting a little bit bored with the 3-on-2 in the 15 minutes, I'd just go straight up and make it 3-on-3. So let's just play 3-on-3. But the idea behind this and what I'm trying to teach kids at a younger age, again, if I go back to my half-court offense theory on pass and cut, is, so if we look at these pictures here, the first one is one has the ball at the top and we've got X1 and X2 on defense. We want to make an early pass because we want to move the defense and find out how they're playing. So one passes to 3, X2 would go out to guard 3 and one will cut. So if we look at that third picture there, one will cut to the ring looking for a pass. If he's open, 3 will pass him the ball. Most times, X1 will cut that off. So he will drop down and cut that off, which leaves a big hole at the top for good old number 2 to come in and catch and shoot if they can. For the younger kids, I'm not promoting so much the outside shooting, but I'm promoting reading and seeing what the defense is doing so we can react and make the right passes based on where the defense is. And then the other key on this last drill for the younger kids is the spacing. So we want to stay as far away from each other as possible to make it so much harder for the defense to guard us. But they're just some drills. That 3-on-2 drill I've done in nearly every training session I've run. So most important, I think if we look at how junior basketball is played, especially from a domestic level, it's up and down, it's up and down, it's up and down. It's turnover, it's rebound, it's turnover, it's rebound, that sort of stuff. And so often we find ourselves in these positions where we're 3-on-2, running in transition. So really important skill for these kids to learn, to be able to free up their teammates and get a bucket. So that's probably something that I stick to myself. But basically, that's all I've got for today. That's dead set a true example of a training session I've run before for an hour and a half court. So use it, abuse it, change it, do whatever you need to do to it, and get out there and, well, obviously when we can, but get out there and coach those kids to be better. Hopefully that helps.
Thanks, Drew. I was going to go back a bit into how you're talking earlier about on the previous page, you spoke about making it competitive and setting the score to make it competitive. Something I've always done is I always say that the last team I coached got a certain score, especially for young kids. When I've coached under 12s, under 14s, I'm lucky enough to have been coaching a while, and I've coached a lot of people, especially up in that sort of youth and men's program. So usually if it's like a one-on-one scoring drill, in the past I've said like, oh yeah, I coached Jackson Wynn when he was younger, and he got this score on that one. Can you beat his score? We probably didn't get that score at all.
Yeah.
But I don't tell the kids that. So even if little white lies like that, keep it interesting for the kids, and that makes them keeps them a bit accountable. And they're like, oh, yeah, they really, and it makes them try and strive and try and beat that score. Even if you say, oh, my last team I coached got this score, you want to beat that side, don't you? And then if they do beat it, you're like, well, you've got the champion in your team. Who wants to beat the champion? Who wants to knock off this, our best shooter? Who wants to be our best shooter? Yeah, it's all different ways to make it exciting for the kids. So,
love it.
Conrad just asked there about adding an element of confusion to small-sided games for slightly older kids. Yeah, definitely. If you're talking about sort of your 14s, you coach Conrad, I'll say yeah, definitely test if they're capable. Test their ability to think on the spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's another way to add a layer to it, and to make it interesting for them is to make it a bit harder. I've done things before where kids have got to, if you score from a certain spot, you've got to go, if it's a continuous game of 3-on-3, I'll say, well, whoever shoots the ball, if it's a layup, you've got to touch this wall and then come back and play defense. Or if it's an outside shot, you've got to touch that wall or certain objects.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they do the certain thing, they'd be like, oh, where do I got to go? I've got to go that way.
Yeah.
Try to make them think on the spot. That's all little cool ways to do it as well. Yeah.
Or the coach stands in the middle of the, say, 3-on-3 game, and whoever's on offense or defense, after a certain amount of play, you yell change, and offense switches to defense, and so on. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that sort of stuff, especially in the full court. And I know that a lot of our trainings are only half court, but a lot of the times we can train, and we train our kids to get up the ball. And a lot of the times, if we get it on a turnover, say, I'll stop, all right, hold it there, let's start the drill again.
Yeah.
I had my under 12s last year, and we were so good at getting the ball back on defense, but I didn't realize till halfway through the year that we never actually practiced finishing at the ring after we got the steal. So we were actually really terrible at and then scoring. We were terrible at it. We'd get so many steals, but we'd just blow it because we never ever practiced finishing it. But the second part of the season, we practiced, got right into it. And so I was able to say, right, stop, change, and whoever had the ball, just go and take whatever advantage you got, but go and finish the other end. Go and finish off the ball. That's really good.
Excellent.
Yeah, I've done that similar one as you talked about there, Conrad, where it's like a 3-on-3 game, and sometimes I do it as if the offense isn't, doing a good enough job, they're not moving or something. I'll just say switch, and the offense drops the ball, they're going to go touch the baseline, come back and play defense, and the defense has to touch the halfway line and come back at the ball, and they're playing offense. And to switch it like that, and so it's like switches, you switch teams, and then if you yell out change, you change ends of the court. Yeah. And that's just chaos.
Yeah.
When and if you try and time it really well, so they're about to go in for a layup, and you yell out change, to see him in mid-air do this some sort of backflip throw pass and change ends, it's quite comical, and it's a good laugh.
Yeah,
and the kids actually like it. They enjoy that sort of random, being shafted sort of thing.
Oh, excellent.
So, if there's no other questions, I'll start talking about next week.
Yeah, listen, mate. When you're talking about grabbing the ball and taking it into the triple threat position, and you said you bring the ball up into that shot position, that's only to draw the defence into you, isn't it? And that gives you an option to go left and right. Then you can look at where they are in the court and say, I can go left or right. You mean?
Absolutely, Pete. I'm a shooter. I'm an absolute dead set shooter of the ball. I'm a massive believer that triple threat limits your ability to shoot the ball quicker.
Yeah.
So my triple threat, and what I'm trying to teach kids, my triple threat is a shot fake.
Yeah.
If you're open, it's not a shot fake, it's a shot.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the next sort of step that I've taken it to, that I want to catch that ball and I want to look at my shot straight away because I want to make the defense react. If he's too far away, I'll shoot it. If he's coming in closer, now I can blow past him.
Yeah, that's something I never thought of over the last couple of years, mate. I mean, I just haven't thought of that. And when you mentioned it, I thought, what a great idea. Making them come forward to you, you get a good look at where they're going to go, left or right.
Yeah.
It gives you the opportunity to dribble around them, doesn't it?
Mate, there's a guy named Don, and I can send you some stuff.
It's Don Kelbick.
Don Kelbick.
Yeah. I know Don Kelbick.
And he's awesome. He's really awesome the way he explains how he's ruled out the triple threat.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I'll give you a send it. That'd be great, mate.
Yeah, cool. No worries.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Yeah, thank you. So, mate.
So one last thing is just about next week's session. I've got a fly, mate, up there. It is. So next week we're going to have I've been speaking to her for a while, to Jess Wayne, trying to get her on board to do something because she's been doing an absolute brilliant job during this lockdown period. We wanted to get her on to share about some of the stuff she's been doing during this lockdown phase. And so she'll talk about how she's kept in contact with her players, the sort of drills she's been doing, and how she motivates them, to keep signing up to these sessions week in, week out. She's got a pretty good rap sheet. She's been doing it under 12 girls program for years now. We at the club, we rate her really highly, and she's someone really special that we have around. So I would highly recommend jumping on board and listen to what Jess has to say. It's well worth it.
Do we need to have TikTok for next week's session?
I don't think so. So she'll talk about all the things she's been doing, to keep her girls interested, and she's been really good and being real creative with how she's done it. So she's a bit younger than me. She's a bit more hip with that social stuff, where I'm not. So tune in next week, guys, for Jess Blaine's session about her engagement during lockdown. Otherwise, thanks for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.